If you want me to shout you out, follow us on Instagram at Cheryl Underwood Radio.
You are listening to KUAW Radio, home of the all-new Jamal Bakes Show, and I'm Jamal Bakes, and thank you so very much for listening to the station bringing you talk, news, entertainment that you won't get anywhere else. KUAW, in, of, and about our community.
This is comedian Janelle Banks, and you are listening to KUAW, Kansas City.
This weekend is the last weekend before Thanksgiving, and on Blues Time in the City.
You say I be bashing men's.
Man bashing? That's Miss Jody. Man bashing. She's talking this weekend, and Tina Turner's birthday is on Thanksgiving Day, so we're showing Tina much love. Join me, Regina Bailey, for Blues Time in the City. Your weekend stop for the best in blues and Southern soul. This weekend, right here.
KUAW listeners, this is Carl Boyd for Wave Your Grades, coming to you every Saturday from 1 until 2 p.m. right here on KUAW. This program features American students striving for excellence in honor of our troops and American veterans, encouraging American students. Please join us every Saturday from 1 until 2 p.m. right here on KUAW.
Now on the air in Kansas City, the Cheryl Underwood Show.
We are proud to be part of the KUAW family.
The Cheryl Underwood Show. Weekdays Monday through Friday at 12 noon. KUAW around the world on KUAW.org.
Todd Tribbett, we gonna be all right here on the Jamal Bakes Show. I'm your brother in Christ, Jamal Bakes. Thank you all so very much for hanging out with me, fam, for another weekend, all right? We've got a big show for you, man. As always, the Rose Show Live will be here with her Faith Move next. And we talked to my man, the Laugh Therapist, later on in the show. We've got music on the way from Doe. We've got Corinne Hawthorne, Keandra Lockett, brand new William McDowell. Cannot wait to share that one with you as well, all right? And a whole lot more. Listen, follow me right now on social media.
Bank of Blue Valley is a proud sponsor of KUAW Radio. At Bank of Blue Valley, we believe that an understanding of financial value sets individuals up for a strong future. Whether you want to talk about checking and savings accounts, review lending alternatives, or discuss starting your own business, we have the right people to listen and advise. Visit us at bankbv.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This week on Making Contact,
I think election fraud has always been a problem and a concern to various extents. And the main issue, whether you're talking about paper ballots or voting machines, is transparency. Transparency is really the number one thing. I think you have to really have the public involved from beginning to end.
We've got people that are really trying to cheat to win at all costs. Remember, we are talking about power. Power is never going to be given away by anybody. It has to be taken.
In this Women Rising radio program, we featured 2 election protection activists.
Hi, you're listening to KUAW Radio. That's Kansas City's global community radio station. This is The Truth Be Told with myself, T-Baby. If you have a business or an event that you would like sponsor here on KUAW, be sure to shoot us an email at kuaw985@gmail.com. You can call in anytime during this live broadcast at 816-599-6893. We are available 24/7 on the World Wide Web. That's www.kuaw.org. If you're watching me on Facebook, hi. And if you're listening to me over the air and you would like to watch me live, hop over to our Facebook page, KUAW-radio. We are also live on YouTube, KUAW Radio. Make sure to like and subscribe and to invite your family and friends to those pages so that they can enjoy the great content that we have here on KUAW. We are also available across all social media streams, so platforms, so Twitter, Instagram, Periscope. I feel like I'm forgetting some. Twitch, whatever that is. Yeah, just KUAW. So yeah, make sure to like and share those pages. I wasn't in the studio last week, so I didn't get to kind of talk about the Gucci versus Jeezy versus Gucci battle. And it's not really so the versus match that I wanted to go into. It was a lot of the commentary that I was, let me back up. I'm sorry, y'all. Shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs for that win on Sunday against Brady. Like, it's a little, hey, we doing great. Hopefully we'll be back in Tampa in a few months. You know what I'm saying? Bringing home the trophy again. So just shout out to those boys. Okay, so yeah, with the battle, right? It wasn't necessarily the battle that I kind of wanted to talk about. If you had a chance to watch it, well, let's do a little background of the whole situation between Jeezy and Gucci Mane, because a lot of people might not know. There was some beef that was going on. Jeezy sent some people to, I think, rob Gucci, and he ended up killing one of them. And yeah, so it's been a kind of a estranged relationship ever since then. So this is probably about 15 years ago. So there's been a lot of tension, and also, so during the battle, Jeezy was kind of trying to act, in my opinion of the battle, he was acting more mature than Gucci. Gucci kept trying to bring up, the whole little situation, telling him, you send some more, I send them back the same way, blah, blah, blah. He kept bringing up the fact that, he smoked his partner, you know what I'm saying? Like, just all this negative, all this other stuff. Like, and it was really, it ended pretty well. The battle ended well. It seemed like, they had came to an understanding where they could be cordial with each other and everything like that. It was the commentary from our people that bothered me a lot more. Like, just people saying, oh, here's soft, you smoke my homeboy, ain't no way that we gonna be in the same room together, blase. So and then the thing about it is it's our men, you know what I'm saying? It's like, we can't just take a situation and let that situation be the situation. It always has to be drawn out in some type of form or fashion, or you feel like that you got to get revenge, or that you got to get justice for someone that has done something to you or against you or whatever. And we need to get out of that mentality. We have to understand that God has the final judgment over everything that goes on in the world, individually, in situations, the world, period. We don't need to be trying to take it into our own hands or feel like that we have to take it into our own hands, or if you don't take it into your own hands, you're less of a man, or those type of mentalities are the mentalities that hold us back, the mindsets that hold us back from actually prospering as a community and actually being able to move forward and have conflict resolution. Like that type of thinking is the reason that we are leading, our men especially are leading amongst homicides and victims in Kansas City right now. You know what I'm saying? Both of those categories were over 60% in both those categories, and it's because of the lack of conflict resolution that our people seem to have. And I kind of want to go into that also too with forgiveness. Not saying that Jeezy actually forgave him or anything like that, which he probably did, but the thing about it is I feel like he felt that he forgave himself because it was a situation that he caused. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you set someone up or send someone out to do some dirty work for you or whatever, and then they die, of course you're going to feel that burden, on yourself. because at the end of the day, Jeezy did what, or Gucci did what he was supposed to do. Somebody, he protected himself, you know, and that's why he didn't get convicted of it, you know, of the murder or anything like that. Out there in Atlanta, I believe they have a stand your ground law. So, you know what I'm saying, there's certain situations that can transpire to where you won't be convicted of things like that, you know. But it brought me to the topic of forgiveness, and that topic's been heavy on just on myself, on my mind within this past couple of weeks, or in this past week, just because of a lot of situations personally that I went through and whatever. And I look at it like we have to learn how to forgive, you know what I'm saying? And people don't understand that forgiveness is not for the other person. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing them no favor by forgiving somebody if they do something against you, a transgression against you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's really for yourself, you know. It's for yourself, that you're not holding on to negativity harvesting in your heart, or harvesting in your mind, taking up space, you know, in your thoughts, and feeding, and then your energy continues to feed off these negative things that you are holding. And another thing that came to me is it's a lot harder for women to forgive other women. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you do something to me, it's like, okay, I don't mess with you no more. You know what and that's just that, you know? It's like we're holding grudges. But once you mature and you get to a certain level in life, you have to understand that forgiveness, like I said, is more so for yourself than it is for the other person. And it's a gift to be able to see things from other perspectives, to be able to understand, you know, like to be able to understand where someone is coming from, to try to get out of your emotions, your feelings of how you feel someone acted towards you, and just try to understand what that person could have been going through when this transgression you know, took place. And it takes strength, you know what I'm saying? It takes strength to be able to forgive someone. And the thing about it is I know that forgiveness is a very tough concept with a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? You get people say, I don't know how to forgive. I don't, you know, and we hold on to these situations. We react to these situations, and yeah, it's just a skill. I feel like it's a gift. You know what I'm saying? It's a gift to be able to actually forgive someone when you feel that they've done something wrong to you. And the thing about it is, with forgiveness, in my mind, with forgiveness, if I forgive you, it doesn't necessarily mean that our relationship is going to go back to the exact same way that it was. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're even gonna, you know, speak again. I've let the situation go. You know what I'm saying? I understand, I forgive you for, you know, whatever it is, but I also have to move accordingly. You know, when someone shows you who they are, you have to move accordingly. You have to act, you know. You don't necessarily have to be mean. You don't necessarily have to hold grudges. You don't necessarily not have to talk to that person again. Because a lot of times too, it's like with family, you don't really have that opportunity, or you shouldn't. A lot of people say you should. Me personally, I don't believe that you should. When it's family involved, you have to be able to come from a different perspective. You have to be able to come from a different understanding, just to keep a strong family bond. You know what I'm saying? And it should be more I'm trying to think of the word that I'm trying to use, but it should you should have, when it comes to family, you should be more likely to actually forgive that person and try to see things from their perspective and everything like that, versus a stranger, you know what I'm saying, or a friend or a lover, you know what I'm saying, something like that. We hold our family up to these pedestals when they're really just same individual people, you know what I'm saying, like who we are, and things happen, you know what I'm saying, like you go through things, but you have to be able to get over things, because we are individuals that make up a whole, you know. And when we cannot get along or cooperate with the whole, we feel like we don't need nobody and everything like that. We put ourselves in situations to where to where we are hurting more than the person that we're holding whatever against. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're doing more damage to ourselves than we are actually doing to the other individual. And when you look at it like that, it'll be easier to just, forgive a lot of different things. And especially there, and I guess it's like you have your limit or you have your breaking point. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has their breaking point of what someone can do to them, or how much of something they are going to allow a person to do towards them, or, act towards them before they just, I guess, cut them off. We grew up in, I know me personally, I'm an 80s baby. With this concept of it's easy to cut people off. Whoever it is, I'll cut you off. If you're not doing me no good, if you're not bringing no peace to my life, if you're not benefiting me by being in my life, then I'll cut you off with like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I just really don't think that that's a right concept to have. Because we need people, and people make mistakes, and we have to be more understanding, like I said, of different perspectives to understand where someone is coming from, to see how our actions, and a lot of it is accountability. Like, I say this all the time, but our people need to learn how to be more accountable for the situations that transgress in our lives, accountable for just the people that we bring around into our lives, accountable for our thoughts, the reality that we are creating for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to point the blame at someone else. It's easy to say, oh, so-and-so did this to me, or, you know what I'm saying? It's easy to take on that victim mentality about what someone did to you. But what did you do? What did you do to help create that situation? Because in all things that happen to us, there's some part in it that we play, and we have to be able to evaluate that our position, or evaluate our roles, our actions in situations, and don't just look at the other person and say what they did. Well, it's like, what could I have did better? What could I have did different? You know what I'm saying? That may have prevented this situation from even happening at all. And now some things are inevitable, because if there are certain things, feelings or energy that's lingering around, no matter what, is going to come out in some way, shape or fashion. And at some point, you may just not know when. It may not be, you just don't have control over it or whatever. But we have control over ourselves. We have control over our emotions and how we think about things. Another thing of it is we another thing that I noticed about our people is that we have a problem with, or not necessarily a problem, but we've been programmed, and not really with we haven't really been programmed with the knowledge of thinking before we act or before we speak. You know what I'm saying? It's like we just react off of emotions. We don't take that time to hi Mrs. Walker, we don't take that time to take a breath, or just really give a situation some thought before we actually react to it, or before we say something that we can't take back. Because a lot of times you say things out of anger, and people hold on to those things like glue. You know what I'm saying? Those things stick to them like glue, especially in an argument, or in a different type of situations. The things that people say to you, you hold on to those things, and we may say some things that we don't necessarily mean, or they came out in a aggressive tone, and we didn't really mean it like that. And a lot of times when we have these conversations are taken out of context because of the emotion that we are displaying during when we're having these conversations. That's why sometimes it is best, not sometimes, really in all situations, it's best to think before you speak, or think before you act. Take a deep breath, count to 10, count to 5, take 24 hours, however much time that you need to be able to approach the situation in a cool, calm, and collect manner, so that we don't create other situations, so that we are able to actually resolve situations. You know what I'm saying? We're able to come to a resolution, so that we're not having all these drama felt relationships in our lives, and then looking at everyone else saying that they're causing the drama. No, we have to be able to evaluate ourselves and what it is that we do. If we're continuously surrounded by certain situations and these situations aren't changing, and we find ourselves in the same predicament over and over and over again with different people, then it's time to start taking, again, where it comes in, accountability for your actions, accountability for your thoughts, accountability for what you did to contribute to the situation. And that's also when it comes into forgiveness, because when you start to take accountability for the part that you play, and it's easier to forgive, you know what I'm saying? It's easier to be like, okay, I'm gonna have this conversation and I'm gonna let it go and move forward. Another thing of it is we have to be able to move forward. A lot of times we like to say that we're over something, or we like to talk something out, and we're still holding on to those same type of feelings in the back of our mind. So we still acting as if that situation is the present situation of what's going on in our particular lives, or in a particular situation with someone else. And so, yeah, and these things affect, like, these type of energies that we hold on to. That's a lot of that goes into knowledge as well, of understanding how the body works, understanding how the mind works, understanding how all these things are intertwined, energy, feelings, how all these things are intertwined to create a reality of what you see in your life, or what you feel in your life, or what you feel around you, or what you feel from the relationships in front of you and everything like that. So we have to be able, once we come into this understanding, then we are able, it's just like the saying, I can forgive you, but I won't forget. Now, see, that saying always made sense to me in a way, and then in a way it didn't. Because, like, I'm not going to forget, you know, I don't want to forget, but I also don't want to hold on to. And if you forgive someone, I feel like you should forget. If you say to yourself, like, okay, I forgive this person for this transgression that they done to me, I'm gonna talk the situation out, we then came to an understanding, so in your mind you're not expecting to have this situation again. Now, if this situation occurs again from the same person, from the same, same type of situation or whatever, then it's like, I can't keep forgiving you for the same things without taking action. Because again, you still have to move accordingly. You can't just let someone come interrupt your peace. You can't let someone interrupt your energy field of what it is that you're putting out just because you want to hold on to them. I was having a conversation about pain, right? And the pain that we hold on to, like when someone betrays us, when your spouse cheats on you, the pain of loss, you know what I'm saying? Like all the pain that we experience in ourselves or find ourselves into. Same thing if you have anxiety or depression, you know what I'm saying? It's like we have to understand what to let go of. You know what I'm saying? Pain comes in, like, have you ever played a game of, it's like playing a game of tug of war, right? When you're playing tug of war and someone's on the other side pulling at a rope and you're on the other side pulling at a rope and y'all just pulling, right? Eventually your hands start to hurt. You know what I'm saying? Eventually you start to experience pain with tugging at that rope. Whereas if you just let go, the pain would decease. The pain would go away. You know what I'm saying? A lot of pain comes from not knowing when to let go of things or holding on to things for too long. When you hold on to something for too long, you experience a lot of pain in those situations. You experience depression around around situations or whatever, because you just haven't figured out how to let go of the situation or how to accept the situation for what it is, you know, and act accordingly and do what it is that you need to do for yourself. We find ourselves on our I feel like women have it worse, especially when it comes to like our friendships with other women. We find it hard. It's like we expect something, and expectation has a lot to do with being disappointed as well. You know, when you have high expectations and someone doesn't live up to those expectations, then you fall into a funk about it. You get mad about it. You have a certain there's a negative lower self energy that comes along with expectations. Not saying that you shouldn't have standards. There's a difference between having standards and having expectations. A lot of times we expect people, especially in our relationships, we expect people to treat us how we would treat them, but we're not the same. You know what I'm saying? And we have to understand people and accept people for who they are. We cannot put our own expectations on someone and then be disappointed when they don't live up to those expectations. I hope that makes a lot of sense. Y'all got to comment with me and let me know, you know what I'm saying, what y'all thinking or whatever. But I just feel like when we, even in relationships, especially in like intimate relationships with like a spouse or something, you have all these expectations of your spouse. And when they don't live up to those expectations, you're ready to leave them. Heartbreak, you know, cause a lot of heartbreak on ourselves. As well as on others, just because of the expectations and the pedestals that we try to put people in. And when they fall, we don't understand it. When they can't stand up on this pedestal that we didn't put them in, it's like we don't understand it, and we feel like someone has done something against us or has disrespected us or anything like that. And it's like when you have to be able to come into this knowledge and understanding and use it to your advantage to create the things in your life that you want to create, and not just subconsciously creating haphazardly, you know, life. I had someone say that earlier, something that had happened. It was like, you know, it feels like a dream, right? And I said that's crazy, because when life feels like a dream, you know that you're living, right? So you're living your dream life, like you're living, you're creating what it is in your mind and your heart and your, you know, that you feel for yourself. So it feels like a dream. It feels unreal. It feels like a fairy tale, you know. But that just lets you know that you are creating and manifesting in the way that you are supposed to be doing, with the power that's inside of you. You know, your God-given power as a human that's inside of you when you're using it. So if your life doesn't feel like a dream, you know what I'm saying? You need to evaluate what it is that you're manifesting in your life. You know, because we have control over these things with our thoughts. We restrict these things with our feelings. We restrict these things with the negative energy that we hold on to inside of ourselves. We restrict these things, and that's because so we talk about the law of attraction, right? And the law of attraction works on a certain frequency. But if you're walking around and holding on to hatred, holding on to you know, jealousy, holding on to whatever, you know, all these lower energy emotions, when you hold on to those things kind of reflect in your life, because those are the frequencies that you're dwelling on. You're not dwelling on the frequency of love or the frequency of just a higher frequency to where you can attract the things in your life that you want to attract, the things in your life. Because of all the negative energy that you're holding on, you're only going to continue to attract more of those same negative things, or more of those same situations that make you feel these same negative emotions, or sad emotions, depression, sadness, you know what I'm saying, just anger. Like, you're gonna find yourselves in more and more situations that's gonna give off these energies and give off these feelings that make you feel that way, instead of creating things that have you excited or joyful or happy or have, you know, love, that make you feel loved, or, you know what I'm saying. So it's like, if we, with the knowledge of this information, we can start to shift our life in the direction to where it is, if we are living our dream life, you know. And we have to be able to understand other people, like I said, understanding others, because we need other people. I don't like the people that say, oh, I came in this world by myself, I'm gonna die by myself, I'm gonna be by myself, and this and that. Because as humans, we weren't made created to be by ourselves. We were created to be individuals that make up a whole. You know, when you think about tribes, when you think about families, like your bloodline, like, yes, you are your own individual person, but you still have all these hereditary characteristics and everything like that that go along with your bloodline. That bloodline is important, especially when it comes to relationships between family members. It's like, that's why you can't just treat your family like just any old body, like a stranger or anything like that, because of this blood that runs through your veins, this blood. And then when we look at the thing about it is should we all kind of got some of the same blood running through us. That's how we should look at everyone. That's how we should treat everyone, and especially ourselves, because forgiveness is not you. Sometimes you have to forgive yourself. You know, like, and that's a hard thing. You have to be able to forgive yourself for a situation you may realize that you caused, you know, that may have hurt you or whatever. You can't hold on to it and be disappointed and be all down about it. You got to learn how to forgive yourself and move on. Same thing we got to do with others. We got to learn how to forgive others and move on. And not just hold on to these situations, not say, oh yeah, I forgive you, and then every 3 to 4 months you're bringing up the same situation again. Like, no, the only time that's acceptable is if you're recognizing patterns, or if you're speaking on a pattern. You know what I'm saying? It's like, now there's a difference between exposing a pattern and holding on to a grudge. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you notice a pattern amongst someone that keep doing the same thing over and over, you keep recognizing the actions, we didn't talked about it several times or whatever, but you keep doing the same thing over and over, that's a pattern of someone's characteristics. That's not you holding on to a grudge. But if you just get mad in any situation, you throw up, well, you cheated on me in 1995, that's a grudge. Or with your girlfriends or something like that, well, you disrespected me, you talked about me behind my back, you know what I'm saying? You're holding on to a grudge instead of saying, okay, we talked about it, I don't like the way you did this and this, how can we make this better so that we can continue to move forward? We're such a people right now that just want to cut everybody off. I don't need nobody, just be by ourselves. And and that's why a lot of our people suffer from depression and anxiety and all these other things or whatever that comes along with loneliness. You know what I'm saying? When you say you don't have no friends or you don't have anyone to go hang out with or anything like that, but it's because of how we close ourselves off through just different situations and not being able to forgive. And so before we go on a break, because I use this thing as forgiveness in the Jeezy situation and everything, because of a lot of our people were just saying how, ain't no forgiving, you got to pay for what you did and this and that, like that, like we have to take justice into our own hands. And we use that, and even if it's not a physical justice, it is emotional justice, our revenge, like I'm gonna get you back, you do it to me, I'm gonna do it to you, like type thing, instead of trusting in karma. And it brings me into what we're going to go into on the second half of the show when we come back from break, and that's the serenity prayer. You know what I'm saying? Like, the serenity prayer is so powerful that I don't think a lot of people realize it. You know what I'm saying? And so we're going to talk about it. I'm going to read it, you know what I'm saying? And then we're going to break it down on this next half of the show. I'm going to read the serenity prayer in its entirety, because a lot of people take parts of the serenity prayer. It's like the beginning of the serenity prayer is the most quoted part of the serenity prayer, but people don't understand that the serenity prayer is a lot longer than what you may think in your mind or what you're used to hearing when you've heard someone talk about the serenity prayer. So hopefully we're able to get through the whole thing, if not at least the first two things. But yeah, that's what we're gonna talk about on the second half of the show. I'm about to go on break. It's about that time, so I ask that you guys just bear with me. Make sure to take this time to like and share the video, so that when we come back on the second half, y'all be ready to go over it. Yes.
Listening to KUAW Radio, Kansas City's global community radio station. We don't only bring you videos on Facebook and YouTube, but listen to our audio only, where you'll get shows like Cheryl Underwood and Blues Time in the City. You can pick us up at www.kuaw.org or go to the TuneIn app and search KUAW. Listen to us. We're on 24 hours a day. That's KUAW Radio, Kansas City's global community radio station. And this is what you hear every day from noon till 2. Don't miss the Cheryl Underwood Show.
It's the jump up. Welcome to the Cheryl Underwood Show.
That's what I'm talking about, Courtney Black. Where are we going, Kyle Irving?
George R. Smith College in Sedalia, Missouri was open from 18...
It's Courtney Black with the facts on Sherland with the radio, and you are in the entertainment segment with Courtney and Kyle. It's time for a social media shout out. Today I'm shouting out from Instagram my girl Donna Webster. What's up, Donna? We appreciate you, girl. If you want me to shout you out, follow us on Instagram at Cheryl Underwood Radio.
You are listening to KUAW Radio, home of the all-new Jamal Bakes Show, and I'm Jamal Bakes, and thank you so very much for listening to the station bringing you talk, news, entertainment that you won't get anywhere else. KUAW, in, of, and about our community.
This is comedian Janelle Banks, and you are listening to KUAW, Kansas City.
This weekend is the last weekend before Thanksgiving, and on Blues Time in the City.
You say I be bashing men's.
Man bashing? That's Miss Jody. Man bashing. She's talking this weekend, and Tina Turner's birthday is on Thanksgiving Day, so we're showing Tina much love. Join me, Regina Bailey, for Blues Time in the City. Your weekend stop for the best in blues and southern soul. This weekend, right here.
KUAW listeners, this is Carl Boyd for Wave Your Grades, coming to you every Saturday from 1 until 2 p.m. right here on KUAW. This program features American students striving for excellence in honor of our troops and American veterans, encouraging.
Alrighty, and I am back. I appreciate you guys bearing with me, letting us get our sponsorships out the way. Again, if you have an event or business that you would like sponsor here on KUAW, make sure to send us an email at KUAW985@gmail.com. We do check our email. Well, again, we are Kansas City Global Community Radio Station, so we want to be a blessing and an avenue to reach out for to our community and get connected with others in the community so that we all can prosper accordingly. Okay, so I told you guys that we were going to discuss the Serenity Prayer. So first I'm just going to read the Serenity Prayer, and then we're going to go from there. I ask that you guys make sure you comment and let me know, and just talk back to me so that we can really break it down and get an understanding of what it is, of what it actually means. Okay, so I was just doing some inviting real quick to my thing, so y'all gotta excuse me, but let me pull this up because like I said, a lot of people, when you hear the Serenity Prayer, you think about the most quoted part of the Serenity Prayer, which is like the first actual part of the Serenity Prayer. So, okay, so the full version of the Serenity Prayer, they actually have two versions on here because they say an original and I guess a newer one. But it's, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's the most quoted part of it right there. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as the pathway to peace, taking as he did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Okay, so I want to go, and of course it's going to go to the first one. So it says to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. And so I was having a conversation with someone, and the first thing I want to say is it takes a lot of strength to accept the things that you cannot change. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be a real strong individual to be able to look at something and say, you know what? There's nothing I can do about this situation. Let me not get emotionally involved in this situation or whatever, because I cannot change it. You know, I have no effect over it. So that it takes a lot of strength. You have the words, I threw strength in there because it should say give me the strength to accept the things that I cannot change. and then courage, and then wisdom. When you think about these words right here and the meaning definition behind these words of what it takes. And so I want to start by asking you guys, and hopefully, it's y'all on here and y'all can help me out with this. But when you hear accept the things that you cannot change, what are some of the things that you look at or you can come off at the top of your head that you cannot change? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the, like it says, the wisdom to know the difference. In my mind, and I was talking to someone, in my mind, I told them, you know, I look at death, you know, you cannot change death. You know, you can't beat death. Like when you're born to die. You know what I'm saying? You can change your understanding of death. You can change the way you react to death, but you cannot change the process of death. You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know. You can't reverse it. You know, they say Jesus did. I ain't seen nobody else except him since then that didn't actually change the concept of, you know what I'm saying, what death is or whatever. And even looking more into that story, I feel like it's a deeper thing behind that whole story allegory. But we're not gonna get into that today. People, you cannot change people. You know what I'm saying? That's another, a lot of times, even in relationships, we feel like we can change someone. We can change the way that they act. We can change the way that they think. You know what I'm saying? You cannot change anyone. You can talk, you can discuss, you can encourage, you can, what's the other word I'm looking for? Inspire change amongst themselves, but they have to want to change for themselves for change to actually take place. Personally, you cannot change anyone. You know what I'm saying? So when they say accept the things that you cannot change, if you have someone that acts a certain way in your life, you don't like it, you don't hold on to it, because that's how you cause pain amongst yourself. Don't hold on to it thinking, oh, I can change this person, or I can change him or her. They're not gonna act like this forever. No, have the strength to accept that person for who they are. You know what I'm saying? And react accordingly. Then you move accordingly. See, we can't change how people are, but we can change how we react to people. We can change how we react to certain situations. Even though we cannot change the situation itself, we can change the reaction, and that's where the wisdom comes in. But even also to be able to change something, the things that you can change, like I'm saying, you can change the way that you react to certain situations. You can change the people that you allow into your bubble. You are into your world or whatever, right? We can't change what's going on with the United States right now. You know what I'm saying? We can't change the fact that we're going through a pandemic with COVID. We can say that, okay, we can wear masks, we can do all these other kind of stuff or whatever, but it's not changing the situation or the fact that we are actually going through what it is that we're going through. We can't change the lockdown laws and all this other kind of stuff. We have to live accordingly. And the wisdom to know what we do have or what we can affect, you know what I'm saying? And the courage to do it. That's where the courage that comes in, because a lot of times, like I said, we hold on to situation expecting something different to instead of accepting the situation for what it is and having the courage to change how we react to it or how we move in it. We lack the courage. So we just hold on to things so tightly, even the concepts that we've been taught through life. You know what I'm saying? The social norms that we've been taught, the sadness around death. You know what I'm saying? Like, death hasn't always been a situation of where everyone's crying and black and Death used to be a celebration of life, but society told us that it was something different. They said you're supposed to be sad, you're supposed to grieve, you're supposed to cry, and when someone comes along and challenges that thought, you don't have the courage to change your mind frame from the information that's put in front of you, because you can change your emotions and how you react to things that happen in life. You cannot change the fact that a certain person is gone, but you can change how you feel about the situation. You can change how you react to the situation. So that you don't go through this grief, so that you don't go through depression, so you don't go through anxiety. You know what I'm saying? All these things that we go through is from us holding on, again, like the tug of war thing that I told you earlier, holding on to something that we want so bad instead of accepting it for what it is. When we look at Christianity, and I don't want to be speaking radical or anything like that or whatever, but so many of our people hold on to Christianity, right? They're holding on to all these things aside. No matter what comes out about it, no matter how many truths you're presented with about it, we hold on to it or whatever, and it causes a lot more See, with more it's fear. Like if you don't do this, you're gonna go to hell, right? That's a fear tactic. You know what I'm saying? Like that keeps fear. That keeps you on we talked about energy. That keeps fear. That keeps you dwelling on the energy frequency of fear. You attract more things in your life that's gonna cause you fear. You know what I'm saying? Like all these type of things, but when we're presented with new information, we can't let these things go. That's where wisdom comes in. You gotta know the wisdom between the things that you cannot change and the things that you can change. And it's hard. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, and it really could be an individual thing, right? Because everyone doesn't have the same concept. That's why, I was asking you guys, what are some of the things that you feel like you cannot change? Like me, I said my only two that I could really think of, and I was really sitting down thinking about it, was death and people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't, and the things that goes on in like our government and stuff like that type of stuff is terrible. You know what I'm saying? No matter how much we try to do march, protest, whatever, there's stuff still happening. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not necessarily saying that you got to accept it either, but you just have to change the way you react to it. It change the way your mind reacts to it, the emotions and chemicals that's released through your brain that goes through your body and everything like that. And when you know the science of the human body, you know what I'm saying, you can change those things, right? And then I feel like it's a part of in every situation, obstacle, hardship, like the second half of the prayer was talking about, that we go through, that comes our way. There is a portion in it that you got to be able to look at it and like, what in this can I change, and what about this situation can't I change? I feel like we should look at every situation like that and evaluate it to see what can I do where I feel better about this situation, about myself, because really you only have change over yourself. How you react to things, how you feel about things or whatever, that's the only thing that you really can control. You can't, like I said, you can't control other people, what they do, what they say, nothing like that. You can voice your opinion about it, but that don't necessarily mean that they're going to take heed to it. And you got to know the wisdom between that, because you can't expect them to either. And again, expectation is where disappointment lies, because if you're expecting someone to do the same thing that you would do, but they're not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? No two people are alike. Even twins, even twins, they're not even if they're identical twins, their personalities are not identical. You know what I'm saying? Like, no two people are alike. We all have our own membrane, computer program, what is it called in a computer? What is it? Core processor in our minds that's designed and filtered by our own experiences, by our own things that we experience or what we go through in our life. All those things filter how we perceive certain situations or whatever, so it's going to be different for every single person. So that's what I'm saying. The serenity prayer is kind of an individual thing, right? And it really tests the wisdom of oneself, because when you know yourself, then you know what you're gonna deal with, you know what you can't deal with, where it's worth putting a effort into. Can I change this? Can I change this around? Can I accept this? Other people, hold on, let's see. Other people would be one thing you cannot change. Exactly. Yeah, you cannot change other people. You can't. And then, like I said, you can only change how you react to people, even situations. Then another thing too is like now that's one thing. Like somebody, when I was having this conversation, they was like, well, you can't change the things that happen to you. Well, you can. You know what I'm saying? If you have the knowledge of understanding that, your thoughts create the reality that you see within in front of you, then you know that you have the ability to change the things that are happening to you. Like I said earlier, if you're one of those people and you keep going through the same thing over and over again with different people, then it's something in you that you need to start taking accountability for, that you can change that around so that you don't experience those type of hardships that come your way. We also got to understand that hardships or obstacles or challenges, however that you want to call them, and this is what the second part of the serenity prayer was talking about, but those things come into our life for a greater good. You know, you have to be able to find in everything that happens to you, whether you perceive it as good or bad, what can I learn out of this, or what is the lesson in this? Because when we don't learn the lesson, then we continue to go through the same things over and over and over again. That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You cannot do that. You have to do something different. You have to have courage enough to be able to evaluate yourself and take accountability for yourself and not have a victimized mentality and say, well, so-and-so did this to me or they did this to me. No, what did you do? What can you change? Because like we said, you cannot change what other people do. We have to start looking at these obstacles. See, I ran track, right? I'm actually a beast. I still hold records, and I've been out of high school for 14 years. They ain't gonna tell him my age, but I graduated high school in 2006. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been out of high school for 14 years. I still hold records. So, but I didn't run the hurdles, right? The hurdles wasn't something that I could do. But I also understand that the obstacles that come into my life are like hurdles. And if you learn how to run a race, there you have some people that are dominant at hurdles. They know their timing, their everything. Like, they can just glide over hurdles like they weren't even there. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we are supposed to be doing in life. Not saying that the hardships are not going to come our way. Not saying that the obstacles are not going to be there. The hurdles are still in the race. No matter how fast you run it, it's the hurdles were still there. It was all about how you went about jumping over those hurdles. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you hit your leg and trip and fall off flat on your face. You know what I'm saying? But you still got to get up again and jump over the next hurdle. Like, we have to start looking at these hurdles and these challenges as a means to a greater good, or how the serenity prayer was saying is a means, as a pathway to peace. Because you have to learn lessons in life. If you don't go through any obstacles or any challenges in your life, then you're not learning any lessons. You're not learning the lessons of life. I like to say, when you ain't got no obstacles in life, you're dead. Like, as long as you're alive, you're gonna have obstacles coming your way. No matter how much money you have, no matter how spiritual you are, no matter how religious you are, whatever it is, because your faith is tested. You know what I'm saying? They want to see if you got faith of a mustard seed. So let me put you in a situation you lose your job and something like that or whatever. Now let me see if you're going to worry or stress, or, you know what I'm saying, about your bills or about your house or whatever like that. Let me test your faith. When you start working on something, like, for instance, I used to have an anger problem, right? So I had to work on my anger management. I had to work on how I responded to things that, quote unquote, made me angry. And in that time of consciously working on my anger, do you know how many situations came in front of me that made me angry? Like, you just have to but you got to understand that you're being tested. It's just like in school. You learn all these things, you study the thing, but then you got to take the test. At the end of every lesson, you got to take the test. So when you, even in those are lessons that we have with ourselves too. And that's what it says, living every day. I don't want to butcher it, but it says, living one day at a time. We can't dwell on what happened yesterday. We can't think about what's gonna come tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to understand what's going on today in the present moment and live in the present moment, and understand that what we're dealing with right now will pass. Whatever you're dealing with today, it's gonna pass. Whether it's tomorrow or the day after that, at some point it is going to pass. You know, and it's all about how you go about the situation, or how you decide to jump over that hurdle. You know, you either gonna clear it, or you gonna hit your face and have to get up and do it again. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's all on you, of how you look at it or how you go about it. Again, the courage that you have to change your form. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you constantly jumping hurdles and you constantly tripping, your foot hitting the hurdle and you falling, you got to have courage enough to change your form. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to evaluate this and change my form so that I'm clearing this hurdle, you know? And that's the same thing with situations in life. It says enjoying one moment at a time. That's living in the present. accepting hardships as the pathway is saying. That's what I was saying. We have to accept these challenges that come our way and know that they're coming. You know what I'm saying? It's like, for instance, going on a diet. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of women and things, they diet, right? So they're going to go on a diet. As soon as you go to tell yourself that you're going on a diet, your friends going to call, say you want to go to brunch. They're going to say you want to go to happy hour. Your grandma going to call, baby, I cooked Sunday dinner. Yeah, I got some yams, some corn, all the stuff, all the carbs that you don't want to eat. Like, you're going to be tested to see if you have the strength that it takes to actually change what it is that you're wanting to change about yourself, your willpower. You know what I'm saying? All those things are going to be tested the moment you decide to do something. The moment that you decide to work on a character flaw within yourself, please believe the tests are going to start coming back to back to back. You know what I'm saying? The moment that you decide that you want to go on a diet, you're going to be tested. The moment that you decide, for a lot of women, just any different things, just the test is always gonna come. And then again, to accept that that's the way that life is. Like, we want life to be how we want it to be. Like, we didn't wrote the script or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't wrote the script to the movie or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But we got to understand that. And to me, that's understanding universal laws. You got to understand universal laws to be able to understand how the universe works. You have to be able to accept universal laws for what they are, to understand and accept how the world is, what is going to come to you in the universe. Like, it's cause and effect. So you got to be able to accept those type of things. You got to be able to accept, to know that if I do something, a transgression against somebody at some point in fashion, it might not be tomorrow, it might not be the next day, but what I put out is going to come back to me. You know what I'm saying? And you got to accept that, because that's how life is. Not that I could do whatever I want to do and then I'm just going to deal with it on Judgment Day. You know what I'm saying? That's the world being how we would want it. That ain't how it works. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. You know, you can think that all you want, but you still gonna go through a lot of stuff in your life, no matter what it is, no matter what you think. That's just like how I use the idea of gravity. You know what I'm saying? If you can walk around all day saying gravity ain't real, I don't believe in gravity, none of this other kind of stuff, you still not about to start floating up to the ceiling. Gravity is still going to be holding you down to the ground. It's still going to be working whether you agree with it or not, whether you believe in it or not. That's the same thing with karma. That's the same thing with cause and effect. That's the same thing with a lot of these other universal laws. Like, you cannot believe them. You cannot study them. They're still going to happen. It's still going to go that way that it's supposed to go, because we have to accept how it say, accept the world is how, or accept that the universe is how it's supposed to be, and not how we not live on it like it's how we would have it. You know what I'm saying? Because we all have that type of control, you know what I'm saying, over the things that's what I'm saying, again, the wisdom. Now the last part is talking about surrendering to his will, and I'll make my life happy and all this other kind of stuff or whatever. When I hear that, I just say you have to surrender your mind to know that there is a higher power. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people throw Jesus in there and like that or whatever, but even Jesus said, don't worship me, worship my Father. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's surrendering to the will of the Father, like the higher power, the Most High. And to me, with that, that's universal laws as well, because no one can affect those type of things. Those are things that were put into effect by the creator of this world. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be able to surrender to those things. And then when you learn to surrender to those things, when you learn to accept the things that you cannot change, when you gain the courage to change the things that you can change, you will live a happier life. You won't have so much anxiety. You won't have so much depression. You won't hold on to so much pain and sadness and you know what I'm saying, in your heart, because your life will be you'll just have more peace. That's why I felt like it was important, you know what I'm saying, to talk about this, because it's a lot of things going on right now that's affecting the mental health of our people, that's affecting the lives of our people. So we need to practice this serenity prayer every day. You know what I'm saying? We need to say it like an affirmation. I'm out of time, but real quick, the Holy Covenant Asiatic Nation, you are the children of one Father, provided for by his care. The breast of one mother have given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in our Father's house. When you separate in the world, remember the relation that bondeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brothers in adversity, assist him. If thy sisters in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy Father contribute to the support of his whole race. In his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Peace.
All right, you're listening to KU.